How do we trust God? All through this passage, it has one word over and over and over again. And that word is remember. Even over in chapter 8, verse 2, you shall remember, you shall remember. Over and over, remember, remember. The whole idea of passing the faith down to the next generation is telling the stories of what happened at the Red Sea, telling the stories of what happened in Egypt, telling the stories of manna falling from heaven and water coming from a rock, and the parting of the Jordan River and other things as well that would come up. It's retelling these stories. Look how God has blessed us. But instead, we concentrate on the things that are negative. We do. We really do. Especially, I think it's true here in America. We're so blessed. It's been said, as I've said before, we like 95% of the things about our spouse. It's the 5% that drive us bananas, okay? But we concentrate on the 5%. We just keep looking at the 5%. Here, God has blessed you. He's given you the help that you have. He's given you the family that you have. He's given you the job. All these things wouldn't have to happen. Listen to how it describes it in verses 10 and through 12. Great and good cities, which you do not build. You're going to come in this promised land with houses filled with every good thing, which you do not fill. Honed cisterns, that's artificial wells, which you do not hoe. Vineyards and olive trees, which you did not plant. So he's saying, look, you're getting a lot more than you deserve. Everybody here has that, right? We have a lot more than what we deserved and will deserve. I've shared this story with you before, and I'll share it with you again and again and again because I need to remember, I need to remember, I need to remember. That's biblical over and over and over and again. Third funeral I've ever preached. I was 26 years old. We had a young boy, 5 years old, Robin, that came to our church and came to our vacation Bible school. The next Sunday night, we were in church, and Robin, with his family, they didn't know the Lord at the time. We would later lead them to the Lord, but they were over at a friend's house, as they always were on Sunday night. The two little boys, including theirs, were running on the sidewalk on their tricycles, and a drunk driver came off the road and ran over their little boy and killed him. What do you say? Boy, what do you say? 26 years old, didn't really know the family. What do you say? Well, I shared this with them. I said, I used the word 70. We expect to live 70 years. Now that I'm older, I would probably use 80 or 90, a little bit more. But 70 years. And so we look at the 65 years and say, God cheated Robin out of 65 years. He cheated Grady and Phyllis, the parents, out of 65 years. God cheated. Which is what Satan has already said. God's trying to cheat you. Instead of focusing in on the 5 years that God blessed them with a child that they were not supposed to even able to have. He changed their life in those 5 years. But instead of being grateful for the 5 years, someone passes away at 50 years old, 40 years old, and we think, oh, that's just too young. Look what God's done. He's left me alone. Look but look at all the blessing that they were in those first 40 years. We always concentrate on what we don't have, what we expect God to give us. When God says, the only thing we need to expect, and not with an expectation kind of attitude, but the things that are promised in the Bible. If God has not promised that in the Bible, there's no reason to expect it at all. And so what are we teaching our kids when we complain and criticize and, boy, I don't like this about church, and I don't like maybe this song about church, and I don't like this sermon topic on church, and blah, 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 over and over and over and over again. I don't like, this secret sauce over here at this restaurant. I don't like it. Criticizing. And they get a spirit of criticism. I don't get enough. God needs to give me more. God did not answer my prayer. Even though it wasn't promised in the Bible, I still wanted that answer. I wanted it. And therefore, if I want it, God ought to give it to me. Why isn't he a better grandfather? And so we look. And we understand that to look for what's ahead, we've got to reframe the past and make them grateful for what they have. And when they're grateful for what they have, they look to the future and say, oh, what God has given me in the past, oh, he can give me more. He can give me more in the future.